competition.
I didn't either.
Yeah, that's. I
When he
didn't know.
texted me last night, he's like, "How tall are you and how much do you weigh?" And I'm all like, "What?"
Okay, thanks for hanging out. I know we're all busy. It's always good for me to get to talk about these crazy things I get to be on, because you learn a lot from just putting everything together, thinking about them. And again, this is like 10% or 20% of all the stuff I could talk about. I have probably 100 gigabytes worth of videos. I've recorded the whole thing on video, so I'll show part of it. I'm not going to show 8 hours worth of video, but yeah, there's a lot to talk about. How you doing? So this is my third pizza party debriefing. First one was with Ernesto about Ironman last few months ago. It was about Eric and I's trip overnight to from Harding to Blue Jay. That was a 50-mile ride back and forth. And then today we're going to talk about this North Rim Grand Canyon trip that Shannon and I went. So here's what we'll do. We'll talk about Shannon and Erwin, some stuff we've done before, some of the prep that came into this trip, and then just how it all went. So you guys should know Shannon's taller than me, but he actually, unlike Eric, who had a much better BMI than I, Shannon's BMI is actually higher than mine, so it does make sense. We're both considered like overweight people according to the BMI scale, but it's not. It's pretty close. So yeah, it's unlike Eric, who beat me last time. This kind of explains why I think I did overall better than Shannon did on this trip. So
Trying to get this works out, right?
yeah. So yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. So also, I took some time to check out our metrics from Strava. Strava is like what I use to track all of my biking and running and all that. And Shannon only averages 32 miles per week. I average 100 miles per week biking. Shannon's only covered about 700 miles this year in biking. I've covered over 2,000. And Shannon's longest ride is only 36 miles. The one we did, I've done almost 112 when I did my Ironman in November. So I'm definitely have an advantage with biking.
So mine is all mountain biking, and yours is
Doesn't
road
matter.
and mountain.
I'm just letting you know that I've done a lot more than you. Running is where it gets most interesting. Shannon has done 0 miles since for a while. I average around 20 miles a week running. Should be more. But so yeah, so overall I think Shannon coming into this he had a lot of competition. So I think I like talking about Strava and how this all works. Sunday, May 24th, we went to this ride Eric showed me a couple months ago. It's a 35-mile trip in the by Redlands area. It's like a downhill single track, and this is one of the views from it. And so this took us about almost 5 hours, and what's cool about Strava is what we do with the bunch of us that ride here and run here is they have what's called segments. So segments are like all these user-defined like lengths that you specify, and it's a good way to see how well you're doing compared to all your friends or all your people that are doing all this stuff. And so what I did with the start race is I found the longest segments that we did. And that's a 7-mile segment that it took me an hour and 24 minutes to do it. So I used that to see how well Shannon and I compare with riding. And if you compare our time to his time, my time to his time, Shannon beat me by 3 seconds on this segment. So Shannon's definitely, even though his numbers aren't as good, he's still a better
It's the weight and
rider.
downhill.
Yeah. So yeah, this was one segment. What really sucked though about this trip I went on is I had my time set an hour later on my phone when I was recording everything. So we don't really have any matching segments. But anyway, it's not a big deal. So I didn't really get to do a good job of comparing who did much better, but that's okay. So anyway, so this trip we went on, it's an organized trip. It's not just Shannon and I figuring this all out on our own. with this company called Western Spirit. 5 days, 4 nights. All the food, logistics is provided for us. Larry was supposed to go. Last minute, he couldn't go, so he asked if I could, or Shannon asked if I could go, which thankfully I was able to. And it's around $1,300 a person, which I think when you look at all the things that they've done and how much fun we have, I think it's definitely worth it. It is a lot of money. It's not something we can do like all the time, but I'm definitely glad I went. So what did we do? I'm gonna just recap what the week looked like. So last Sunday, we drove from Shannon picked me up at my house. We drove all the way to St. George. It's about 5 hours. One of my favorite parts of the trip is this restaurant called Black Bear Diner. If you guys ever are in Torrance, they have one in there. They have some amazing pancakes. So that was just driving there on Sunday. Monday, they pick us up from that same hotel we stayed in. I went running in the morning, and then they picked us up, and then we did a 20-mile out and back ride. Tuesday, more riding, same campsite. Wednesday, that's when it's Tuesday night, it started raining on us, so we had to, we didn't get to do as much as we wanted. We were supposed to plan on doing a 2-mile hike and an 8-mile bike ride, but we kind of just scrapped that and just went to camp. It eventually cleared up, and we just set up camp. So Wednesday was a pretty good downtime for us to recover. Thursday, we did an out and back at the new campsite, and then Friday, we did another trip that was about 9 miles, and then we went home, and then that same night we went from St. George all the way back to Orange County. So pretty packed schedule, and my weekend afterwards I didn't do much because I was so tired.
What time would your ride start?
We would start around 10-ish, yeah, and then
Okay.
a lot of our rides, we would go ride, we would pack a lunch, and then ride there, eat the lunch, hang out, and then then come home.
How about the temperature? Because I don't know, have you told anybody on the way back?
Yeah.
We actually saw Erwin and Shannon, and we caught it, what was it, Mesquite?
Yeah, on our way back, driving home, we stopped at a
Okay.
gas station, and him and Chris Healy's family were coming up, and
Oh,
we
we're
just
going
ran
right
into
up.
the same gas station at the same time.
So
It
it's
was
kind of cool.
pretty crazy. But the weather overall, besides the rain on Wednesday, was perfect riding weather. We're talking
It wasn't like what you guys got. It
Yeah, I was
like
thinking to myself,
By you guys,
man.
it was at like 100 degrees.
Yeah.
It was 106 going through Vegas on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 112.
It was like 70 or 80.
Yeah,
for
riding it
us.
was around 60 to 70.
Oh, okay.
The day it rained, it was like, maybe high 50s, low 60s, but
Yeah.
no problem. Just wore normal cycling clothes. Didn't
Yeah,
have
that's
to-
another thing. The elevation here is about 8,000 to 9,000 feet.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
which
okay.
was a huge factor. I mean, I did some running in the morning. I was running like slow, like 11-minute miles, like really slow, and I was tired. So,
Regular
yeah, I know. I was-
Tuesday night it rained like 2 inches.
Yeah, like it was pouring. I was so glad my tent didn't collapse. Okay, so food. Everyone cares about food. Food was pretty amazing. I get why we spent all this money on this trip. It wasn't just whatever. I mean, they cooked good food. They cooked, like, most of the ingredients they used were organic. They were pretty healthy. I weighed myself when I got back, and I lost like 2 pounds. I was really worried that I would gain a lot of weight from this vacation, but thankfully I didn't. They had dessert after dinner. They made cheesecake, not just like buy it from the store and put it out, but it was. I mean, that was definitely one of the best parts, especially after a long ride, to get to eat some really good food.
So
I
what
thought it
is
was-
Wednesday dinner? What is that?
Wednesday? This was the dinner. This was a brownie in a Dutch
Cast
oven.
iron
Yeah,
bucket.
not the best photo. It looks like something burned, but
It was good though.
that was really good, especially with whipped cream. So
That was pork chops, right?
this was pork chops. Yeah. So this was like fajitas on Tuesday, and then pork chops on Wednesday. Breakfast was eggs. Thursday, I didn't have a breakfast picture. I think it was similar, but then we would pack our own lunches.
Oatmeal was Thursday.
Okay, oatmeal, and then salad on Friday, or salad Thursday night, and then on our way home there was this really amazing cookie place that I was gonna bring. I bought a bunch to bring into the office, but
He ate
ended
them
up
all.
eating them all. So next time, you know how that works.
You should tell us.
Yeah, next time for sure. Okay, so scenery. Everyone likes scenery. It's not a big deal to me, but I took some pictures anyway. This is St. George.
That from the
Well-
GoPro?
No. This is all time lapse or panorama with the cell phone. Yeah, so St. George, and then this is our first campsite.
So we're on the north rim. This is the east side of the north rim. So there's an east side and a west side.
So this was one of the views. It was pretty cloudy, but it was cool because there was a rainbow. This was Tuesday morning, something like that, or Tuesday night. Yeah, I think Tuesday morning after breakfast. So not that exciting with all the clouds, but yeah, nice area. Definitely not like Brea or Chino Hills State Park. And this is the second, or the bottom is the first campsite, the top is the second campsite, and I have another video of, this is the second campsite, and this was definitely a much better view than the first campsite, but you get the idea. North Rim is not like where everyone goes in the Grand Canyon that you see pictures of. You usually go to the South Rim, but North Rim is a lot less crowded, and here's Shannon taking some pictures. Yeah. So really nice views, and then here's one. Okay, this is right before sunset. This is the night it was gonna rain pretty hard, but same thing, but nice view. There's all the people we went with. Okay. More views. There's a group. There was 6 people who went and 4 tour guides. So it was a really good ratio of tour guides to people. Usually there's only 2 tour guides, but 2 of them were on training, and usually there's more than 6 people. So we definitely were taken care of. I mean, they did like everything. Like they saw my tent wasn't set up properly because I don't know how to pull stakes properly, and so they redid the whole thing, you know. And they one time when they were taking my bike off the bike from the top of the trailer, they noticed that my handlebars were crooked. So one of the guys just went ahead and fixed that. So I think that's what made it nice, is they really went out of their way to take care of us. Packing, I didn't make a list. This was my tent when I was in a rush to find some stuff. And what was cool though is you could like bring as much stuff as possible. And usually I'm like really careful with not bringing too much, but I think I regret leaving a whole bunch of stuff at home. I didn't have a mini tripod. I was missing some running clothes. I was definitely underpacked for this. That's definitely not what we want to do if you do an overnight trip when you have to carry everything, but in this case you could have brought 5 of these bins. It's funny, Shannon's the one who said, Erwin, we should buy these bins for this trip. So we ended up getting the same bins, but usually, I mean, I have probably like 20 or 30 of these kinds of bins at my house.
And
I
they
use
work
them all
great,
time.
by the way, especially in the rain, because
Yeah.
it kept everything dry. And everyone had soft packs, and they got wet. And people are like, how'd you think of the bins? I'm said, that's all we ever do is bins. So we put everything in. I had everything in bins except for my riding gear.
Yeah, so it was very, very helpful to just dump everything, but yeah, also I was thankful to bring a 2-person tent. I've been burned in being in a tent, in a small tent in previous trips, but having a 2-person tent's really helpful to put all your stuff,
I didn't know
plus
that
your
lesson,
sleeping
so I had a
bag and all
1-person
that,
tent.
and so it was nice because I had a lot of stuff, and when it's pouring rain, to be able to like still have room for your stuff and to organize this mess, it's a lot better. So 2-person tents, good idea. More photos. This is the first campground. This is us setting up the tent. So Shannon definitely beat me on this one. I had a hard time figuring this out, but I think now the second time around I did a much better job. So there's Shannon, almost done, and I had to redo mine. And then what we didn't know is like the tarp down there, you're not supposed to do that. So that lady came and said, oh, you should move your tent and not do that, but we said it's fine. And luckily we moved it before it started raining.
Yeah, that's something I learned. You know, when I camp, I put a tarp down all the time like that, but when it rains, it pools underneath your tent and gets everything wet. So you want your tarp underneath your tent where it's not exposed anywhere outside the outer perimeter. And I didn't know that when it rained. And so when it rained 2 inches the night after this, we were soaked. It was like except for the bins.
Yeah.
So what's the deal? You make sure your tarp is up fully under.
So you fold it so it's fully under the tent, so you don't see any blue outside the perimeter of your tent. And that way it just sits there, and then the rain does not flow in.
Yeah, it runs off the edge.
And it just runs off the edge, and then the
Otherwise, you
dirt
get a
soaks
tarp,
in the dirt.
It just goes underneath your tent.
Gotcha.
Erwin, so when
Yeah.
you would arrive there, you'd have all of your supplies and your tent and everything would be ready for you.
They wouldn't set up the tent. I mean, you saw, but pretty much you go there, you bring all your stuff, they load it all in the trailer. We drive to the site, and then they give it to you. You set up your tent, and you go riding, and you come back, and then
Okay.
we had 2 sites, so we had to set up tent twice.
Yeah, so there was 4 nights, 2 campsites, so 2 nights at each site, basically.
Great. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, day 4 was. I'm gonna show. I'll just show the videos later because I couldn't get the video to work in the PowerPoint of just how the riding went. Day 4, though, the crazy part of this trip was they had this map that I saw. I didn't. There was no reception this whole time, and I work in IT. I'm used to just being connected all the time, but this time I couldn't even get reception. So this is a map I found while we were riding, and I said, okay, this is our campsite. We did a ride from here to here. This was about 9 miles. That was on day 4. Day 5 was from here all the way to here, and they would pick us up here. And I said, after this ride on Thursday, I wanted to ride a little bit more, so I mapped out like a ride from here to here to here to here. This is about 15 miles, and I had about 4 hours to do it. So pretty easy stuff if you know where you're going. And that was the plan. When I was riding around here, and when I kept going straight, I thought this was a T intersection, and that I would hit the T intersection and I would know to go right, and then I would come around down. But I guess I didn't look at the map correctly, and it ended up turning out that this is what I ended up doing. I went past the T intersection all the way down into this area that's not even really rideable, and I got really confused because I kept thinking, oh, eventually this area will turn into this way, but I never ended up finding it, so I went all the way here. I got lost, and I went here, and I started, I should try to figure out how to shortcut this, but that didn't work, so I just said, screw it, I'm going to just go all the way back. And so, not a big deal if you're like in Chino Hills State Park and you have reception, but when you're in the middle of nowhere and it's late and people are starting to worry about you, and it was raining the day before, and you don't have any. I brought I didn't even bring a backpack. I had a little bit of food, and I had 1 water bottle. You start to get really stressed out, and that's what was happening. So yeah, I was supposed to do 17.2 miles. I ended up doing 28 miles, and it was pretty scary.
We were about to send out the search party.
Yeah, and and of course you don't want people worrying about you and so man, when I got home, I was really, really, really happy.
Overachiever.
Yeah.
So this was above and beyond the 19 miles.
Yeah, we
we'd already
rode
done
19 that day,
And
and
then
I'm
he went
like,
and did the
that's
fun
not
ride.
enough. I got a race coming up. I'm gonna ride some more. But yeah, I was tired because I thought I would bonk out or I ran out of food. It was not pleasant. So anyway, day 5. So maybe this will work. Maybe it'll work. Oh, what the? Okay, hold on. I just gotta pull it up. Now I'm just gonna show you some of the single track videos, and then I think we're almost pretty much done. That's right. These Microsoft Surface.
Yeah, blame your tools.
Yep, it's always a tool's fault. Okay, so this is just an idea too of how the writing looked like. This was day 4, and we took our time getting back, as you could see, and just relaxing, enjoying the views.
Is the camera on your head or is it on your handlebars?
This was a GoPro 3. This is a 720p video mounted on my handlebars. So, I want to show you this one. This is that one. So this was the last ride, and I said, I'm not going to ride behind Shannon. I'm going to make this a time trial. And so I just said, bye, everyone. Have a nice day. And this one went pretty well. I think I did this. This was a 3 mile segment. I think I did it in 17 minutes. Shannon did it like in 30. It's really good. So I definitely won this one. But I wanted to show more, but there was a handful of segments. Like one of them on day 2 where it was like a good 3 or 4 mile one, and Shannon got ahead of me, and then I started to get ahead of him, and then I fell off the bike, and then he got back. I wanted to show that video, but I didn't have time to pull it up. But I mean, definitely, yeah, the riding on here is a little prettier than Chino Hills State Park and some of the other rides we do locally. But it was pretty cool. This is more of the uphill. Yeah, it's a little faster. So I would do a time lapse going there, or I would do a time lapse one of the ways and then 720p video the other way. So if I really had time, I put it all together, but no one's gonna watch 8 hours of riding. But there were some cool parts and some really pretty areas. But this is for the most part how everything looked like. Sometimes you would ride towards the edge where you would see those pictures I would show you. Yeah, that made it a lot more fun.
Any wildlife out there while you were out there? Did you see
Deer.
There was a deer. I had a video of a turkey that I saw while I was riding. But
Yeah.
there was a
Almost
couple
got
of
hit by a turkey coming across. I scared it, and it came across the front of me.
Yeah. So yeah, so it was pretty cool. Other than that, okay. So yeah, that's all I had. I think really the crazy part was just not having. I've never had in my 9 years working here. I've never been like off the radar for like 3-4 days straight, which was kind of crazy. Which I recommend everyone does once in a while. Don't underestimate your opponent, of course. Don't be afraid to overpack. I really wish I had a lot of the stuff I usually have when I do like my other things, but I didn't have, and so lesson learned. I was a bit in a rush getting ready like usual. I wait till the last minute. So if you're going on another trip, don't do that. And yeah, of course, be careful when you're biking in an unfamiliar area. Oh yeah, last slide. This is the Jira Lessons Learned database. Everyone should use it to document lessons from work. So yeah, next we're going, Eric and I,